Admiral Lee Tae-min stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, looking out at the stars through the massive viewing window. He had been traveling through space for 30 years, and he still felt amazed by the beauty of it all. Around him, 12 huge warships moved through the darkness like sleeping giants. Captain Park So-young walked up to him with a tablet in her hands. She was young for a ship captain, only 35 years old, but she was one of the best officers in the United Earth Navy. "Admiral, we are getting close to the Vega system," she said. "Our sensors are picking up something strange." Lee Tae-min turned to look at her. "What kind of strange?" "Commander Kim Woo-jin says it looks like energy readings, but not from any star or planet. The patterns are too regular, too organized." The Admiral felt his heart beat faster. For over 200 years, humans had been traveling between the stars looking for other life. They had found many planets, some with simple plants and animals, but never anything that could build spaceships or send radio signals. "Show me," he said. They walked to the command center where Commander Kim Woo-jin was studying his screens. He was a serious man who rarely smiled, but today his eyes were bright with excitement. "Admiral, look at this," Kim Woo-jin said, pointing to his display. "These energy signatures are not natural. Something made them." The screen showed waves of light moving in patterns that no star or planet could create. The readings were coming from a point in space about 2 days away at their current speed. "Could it be some kind of space phenomenon we have never seen before?" asked Captain Park So-young. "No," said Kim Woo-jin. "I have been studying space energy for 15 years. This is artificial. Someone or something built whatever is making these signals." Admiral Lee Tae-min felt a chill run down his back. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for since they first looked up at the stars. "Change course," he ordered. "Take us toward those signals, and send a message to all ships in the fleet. Tell them we might be about to make history." Next 2 days felt like the longest of Lee Tae-min's life. The entire fleet was buzzing with excitement and nervousness. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho, the fleet's expert on alien life, spent all her time preparing for what they might find. Lieutenant Choi Hye-jin worked on communication systems, trying to figure out how to talk to beings they had never met. When they finally arrived at the source of the signals, everyone on the bridge was silent with wonder. In front of them was a massive structure floating in space. It was clearly not built by human hands. The station was shaped like a giant wheel with 6 arms reaching out from the center. Strange lights moved along its surface in patterns that seemed almost like a language. Around the station were several ships unlike anything in human design. They were smooth and curved, looking more grown than built. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with their own light. "My God," whispered Captain Park So-young. "We are really not alone." Dr. Yoon Ji-ho could barely contain her excitement. "Admiral, this is the greatest discovery in human history. We need to try to make contact." "Lieutenant Choi, can you establish communication with them?" asked the Admiral. Choi Hye-jin was already working at her station. "I am trying different radio frequencies and mathematical patterns, sir. If they are intelligent, they should understand basic math." For several hours, they sent signals toward the alien station, mathematical sequences, pictures showing the solar system and recordings of human music. Then suddenly, Choi Hye-jin's equipment started beeping. "Admiral, they are responding." The main screen filled with symbols that slowly changed into simple pictures. A star, then planets around it, then a picture that looked like the alien station. "They are trying to tell us where they come from," said Dr. Yoon Ji-ho. Over the next few hours, the communication became more complex. The aliens seemed very good at learning languages. Soon, simple words were being exchanged. "Hello," came a voice through the speakers. The words were spoken strangely, but they were understandable. "We are surprised. You are new. We have not seen your kind before." Admiral Lee Tae-min stepped forward. "Hello. We are humans from the planet Earth. We come in peace." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice spoke again, and it sounded confused. "Earth? We do not know this world." "What sector? What council number?" "Council number?" asked Captain Park So-young quietly. The Admiral spoke into the communication system again. "We do not understand. What is a council number? Another long pause. You travel between stars, yes? Your ships are very large, but you have no council? Number? This is not possible. Lieutenant Choi Hyejin looked puzzled. Admiral, they seem to think we should know about some kind of council. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho was studying the alien ships on her sensors. These readings are strange. Their technology is very different from ours, but it does not seem more advanced. Just different. The alien voice came again. Please wait. We must speak to our commanders. This is very unusual. The communication went silent. On the bridge of the Indomitable, everyone looked at each other with confusion and excitement. What do you think they meant about a council? Asked Captain Park So-young. I do not know, said the Admiral, but I have a feeling we are about to learn something very important about how the galaxy works. Commander Kim Woo-jin was studying his tactical displays. Admiral, I am reading massive energy increases from their station. They are sending some kind of long-range transmission. To where? I cannot tell, sir, but it is a very powerful signal. Someone far away is going to receive a message about us. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho looked worried. I hope we have not caused some kind of problem. Admiral Lee Tae-min stared out at the alien station. For over 2 centuries, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they were not. But instead of answers, they had found only more questions. Who was this council the aliens talked about? Why did they seem so surprised that humans could travel between stars? And what would happen when whoever received that transmission learned about Earth? All ships, maintain position, but be ready for anything, ordered the Admiral. I have a feeling our quiet little exploration mission just became much more complicated. As if responding to his words, new contacts appeared on their sensors. More alien ships were coming, and they were much larger than the ones already at the station. Captain Park So-young looked at the readings and frowned. Admiral, these new ships, they are not coming slowly like curious visitors. They are coming fast, like they have urgent business. The Admiral nodded grimly. Humanity's first contact with alien life was about to become much more interesting, and possibly much more dangerous. Supreme Admiral Veltar was in the middle of a boring council meeting when the emergency message arrived. He was a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms, and he had been leading the Galactic Council's military forces for 20 years. In all that time, he had never received an urgent message during a council session. The message came from Station Commander Nixaval, who was stationed in a quiet part of space near the Vega system. Veltar read the message 3 times before he believed it. Unknown species detected. Large warships. Claims independent FTL travel. No council registration. Request immediate assistance. Veltar stood up so quickly that the other council members stopped talking and looked at him. What is wrong, Supreme Admiral? Asked Councillor Mordun, an ancient alien who looked like a walking tree. He was the council's chief historian and knew more about galactic history than anyone else alive. We may have a problem, said Veltar. He activated the main display screen and showed the message to everyone. The council chamber became very quiet. 12 different alien species were represented in the room, and they all had the same shocked expression on their faces. Diplomat Kicksnall, who looked like a giant insect with silver wings, spoke first. This is impossible. No species achieves FTL travel without council guidance. It has never happened. Never, agreed Morden. In 50,000 years of galactic civilization, every single species has followed the same path. They develop radio technology, then basic spaceflight, then we make contact and guide their development. Veltar nodded. The system has worked perfectly for millennia. How can there be a species we never contacted? The Council had very strict rules about how new civilizations joined galactic society. First, the young species had to prove they could be peaceful by avoiding major wars for at least 100 years. Then they had to show they could work together by building basic space stations. Only after passing many tests were they given the technology needed for faster-than-light travel. Maybe Station Commander Nixval made a mistake, suggested Counselor Therak, who looked like a large purple bear. Maybe these beings bought or stole FTL technology from someone else? Read the message again, said Veltar. Large warships, multiple vessels. This is not a single stolen ship. Morden was accessing the Council's historical database with his mind link. His tree-like face grew more worried as he read. There is no record of any species called humans anywhere in our files. No radio signals from their claimed home system. No previous contact reports. How is that possible? Asked Kixnell. It is not possible, said Morden firmly. Our monitoring systems cover every part of the galaxy where intelligent life could develop. We would have detected them centuries ago. Veltar made a decision. Diplomat Kixnell, take a small fleet to investigate. Follow standard first contact protocols. These beings are probably primitive and confused. What if they are not? Asked Therak. Then we will deal with that problem when we find it, said Veltar. 2 days later, Kixnell's diplomatic ship approached the human fleet. She had brought 3 council vessels with her, which was the standard for first contact with unknown species. Her ships were beautiful and graceful, designed to look peaceful and welcoming. When she saw the human ships for the first time, she almost ordered her fleet to retreat. The human vessels were enormous. Each one was at least 10 times larger than her diplomatic ship. They were dark and angular, looking more like floating fortresses than exploration vessels. She had never seen ships so big or so heavily armed. Open communication channels, she ordered her communications officer. Channel open, diplomat. Kixnell spoke in the standard galactic greeting. Unknown vessels, this is Diplomat Kixnell of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to welcome you to Galactic Society. The response came quickly, in surprisingly clear, galactic standard language. Diplomat Kixnell, this is Admiral Lee Taemin of the United Earth Navy. We are pleased to meet you. Admiral Lee Taemin, we are honored by this first contact. Please tell us, which council member sponsored your species' development? There was a pause. I do not understand. What do you mean by sponsored development? Kixnell felt confused. Every species requires guidance to achieve interstellar travel. Which of the 12 council races helped your people develop FTL technology? No one helped us, came the reply. We developed our technology ourselves. Kixnell's communications officer, a young Nexari named Telvor, looked at her with wide eyes. Diplomat, that is impossible. Admiral Lee Taemin, said Kixnell carefully. Please forgive me, but there seems to be some confusion. Independent FTL development is not possible. The mathematics alone would take thousands of years to solve. We solved them in about 50 years, said the human voice. Once we figured out the basic principles, the engineering was not too difficult. Kixnell's head started to hurt. Please, Admiral, let me ask some basic questions. How long has your species been capable of interstellar travel? About 230 years. And how many worlds do you inhabit? Currently, we have permanent settlements on 47 worlds with research stations on about 200 more. Telvor was scanning the human ships with their sensors. He looked at his readings and made a small sound of fear. Diplomat, these energy readings cannot be correct. What do you mean? According to our sensors, each of these ships has enough power generation capacity to supply energy to an entire planet. And their weapon systems, Telvor paused. Diplomat, each of these ships could destroy our entire fleet without difficulty. Kixnell felt a cold chill run through her body. How many ships do you have in your fleet, Admiral? This is a small exploration fleet, came the reply. We have 12 ships here. Back home we have several hundred more, plus defense platforms and orbital shipyards. The diplomat's hands were shaking now. Admiral, may I ask what you were exploring when you found our station? We are looking for other intelligent life, said Admiral Lee Taemin. We have been searching for over 2 centuries. You are the first people we have found. You have been alone all this time? Yes. We thought we might be the only intelligent species in the galaxy. Kixnell turned off the communication for a moment and spoke to Telvor. Send an emergency message to Supreme Admiral Veltar immediately. Tell him we need the full council fleet here as soon as possible. Diplomat, what should I tell them? Kixnell looked at the massive human ships on her screen. Tell them we have found a species that developed alone for over 200 years. Tell them they have technology we do not understand and weapons that could threaten the entire galactic order. Should I tell them the humans seem peaceful? Yes, but also tell them that these 12 ships have enough firepower to destroy most council worlds, and there are hundreds more where these came from. Telvor sent the message while Kixnall tried to figure out what to say to the humans next. How do you explain to a species that they have accidentally become the most dangerous force in the galaxy? She turned the communication back on. Admiral Lee Taemin, we would be honored to arrange a formal meeting with the Galactic Council. There is much we need to discuss. We would be very interested in meeting your council, came the reply. We have many questions about galactic civilization. As Kixnall's ship maintained position near the human fleet, she realized that everything the galaxy thought it knew about civilization and technology was about to change, and she was not sure if that was a good thing or a very bad thing. Supreme Admiral Veltar arrived at the meeting point with the largest council fleet assembled in over 1,000 years. 20 warships from different species traveled together, each one representing the best military technology the galaxy had to offer. When Veltar saw the human ships for the first time, he understood why diplomat Kixnall had sounded so worried in her messages. By the ancient stars, he whispered, those are not ships. Those are floating cities. His tactical officer, Commander Yartek, was studying sensor readings with disbelief. Supreme Admiral, these readings must be wrong. No ship can be that large and still move efficiently through space. What do the scans tell us about their technology? That is the problem, sir. Our scans are not working properly. Something is interfering with our sensors. Veltar opened communication with the human fleet. This is Supreme Admiral Veltar of the Galactic Council Defense Force. I request permission to speak with your commanding officer. Supreme Admiral, this is Admiral Lee Taemin. We are honored by your presence. Admiral Lee Taemin, I must perform a standard technological assessment of your vessels. This is required by galactic law for all first contact situations. There was a pause before the human replied. What does this assessment involve? We will scan your ships with a low-power beam to determine your technology level. This helps us understand how to integrate your species into galactic society. Very well. We consent to your scan. Veltar nodded to his weapons officer. Initiate standard compliance scan. Minimum power. The scan beam shot out from Veltar's flagship toward the largest human ship. It was a routine procedure that had been used on thousands of species over the millennia. The beam would penetrate the ship's hull and analyze the technology inside. But something went wrong. The beam hit the human ship and simply disappeared. Not reflected, not absorbed, just gone. What happened? Demanded Veltar. The scan beam has no effect, sir, reported the weapons officer. It is like the ship is not even there. Commander Yartek was staring at his instruments. Supreme Admiral, the human ship's defensive systems just activated. Their shield generators are producing more energy than our entire fleet combined. The human flagship alarms were ringing. Captain Park So-young ran onto the bridge where Admiral Lee Taemin was studying tactical displays. Admiral, the alien ships just fired some kind of energy beam at us, she reported. Commander Kim Woo-jin looked up from his station. It was a scanning beam, but our shields automatically blocked it. Should I consider this a hostile act? Admiral Lee Taemin thought carefully. They said it was a standard procedure, but prepare defensive measures just in case. All ships battle stations, ordered Captain Park So-young. The 12 human ships slowly changed formation. What had been a loose exploration group became a tight defensive pattern. Each ship's weapon systems came online, and their shield generators increased power to maximum levels. From his bridge, Supreme Admiral Veltar watched in growing horror as the human fleet transformed. Energy readings spiked to levels he had never seen before. Each human ship was now generating more power than a council battle station. Sir, whispered Commander Yartek, according to our sensors, those 12 ships now have enough combined firepower to destroy every planet in this star system. That cannot be correct. I have checked the readings 5 times, sir. Each human ship carries weapons that could level entire continents. Admiral Lee Taemin's voice came over the communication system. Supreme Admiral Veltar, we have activated our defensive systems as a precaution. We mean no threat to your ships. Your defensive systems? Veltar's voice was shaking slightly. Yes, sir. This is standard procedure for our fleet when scanned by unknown weapons. And these are your defensive capabilities? This is a light exploration fleet, Supreme Admiral. Our defensive systems are not as powerful as those on our dedicated warships. Veltar felt his legs go weak. Admiral Lee Taemin, how many dedicated warships does your species possess? Currently, Earth Defense Command operates approximately 300 heavy warships, plus orbital defense platforms around our 47 colony worlds. The Council Fleet's communication channels exploded with panicked voices. Ship commanders from 12 different species were all asking the same question: how is this possible? Dr. Yoon-ji Ho was in her laboratory aboard the Indomitable studying the sensor data they had collected from the alien ships. What she found was almost as shocking as what the aliens were discovering about humanity. Admiral, she said over the communication system, I need to report something important about the alien technology. Go ahead, Doctor. Sir, their ships are not built for war. They are designed for transport and communication, and their technology is very different from ours, but not necessarily better. What do you mean? They seem to have developed everything around a central authority that provides standard designs. Every ship uses the same type of engine, the same type of weapons, the same type of shields. It is very efficient, but it also means they have never had to innovate beyond the approved designs. Admiral Lee Taemin found this very interesting. Are you saying they have never had to develop weapons to fight each other? Exactly, sir. I think they have had peace for so long that they forgot how to build things for survival. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Choi Hee-jin was trying to calm the increasingly worried alien communications. Several council ships were requesting permission to retreat. Admiral, she reported, the alien commanders seem very frightened of our defensive posture. Stand down to normal alert status, ordered Admiral Lee Taemin. We do not want to cause a panic. As the human ships powered down their weapons and returned to exploration formation, Supreme Admiral Veltar finally found his voice again. Admiral Lee Taemin, I must ask a direct question. Does your species have any hostile intentions toward the Galactic Council or its member worlds? None at all, Supreme Admiral. We are explorers, not conquerors. We seek knowledge and friendship, not territory or resources. But your ships, your weapons, are for protection during long voyages through unknown space. We have encountered dangerous phenomena and hostile wildlife on some worlds. We build our ships to handle anything we might face. Veltar realized that humanity had spent 2 centuries preparing for every possible danger the galaxy might contain, while the Council species had spent 50,000 years in comfortable safety. Admiral, would it be possible for some Council representatives to visit your ships? We would like to learn more about your technology and culture. You are welcome aboard, Supreme Admiral. We would be honored to share our knowledge with you. As Veltar arranged for the visit, he sent an urgent message back to the Council chambers. The message was simple but terrifying. Human species confirmed as most powerful military force in galactic history. Recommend immediate diplomatic solutions. Military action not advisable under any circumstances. Commander Yartek looked at the Supreme Admiral. Sir, what do we do if they decide they do not like our galactic government? Veltar stared at the massive human ships. Then we pray that they are as peaceful as they claim to be. News of the human discovery spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within hours of Supreme Admiral Veltar's report, every major civilization knew about the species that had developed alone for over 2 centuries. On the water world of Aquarius Prime, the Thalassian High Council called an emergency meeting. The Thalassians were a peaceful species that looked like large dolphins with hands. They had joined the Galactic Council 3,000 years ago and had never experienced war. This is impossible, declared High Counselor Merdane, her voice echoing through the underwater chamber. The Council has prevented independent development precisely to avoid this kind of situation. Her military advisor, General Neptune, was studying the tactical reports with growing fear. High Counselor, according to these readings, a single human ship could destroy our entire home world. How many humans are there? Intelligence estimates suggest over 100 billion across 47 worlds, with a military force that could conquer the entire galaxy. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds. The crystalline beings of Siltara were vibrating with fear harmonics that could be heard across their entire planet. The warrior clans of Drakmor were arguing about whether to prepare for war or surrender immediately. But the most important conversation was happening in the council chambers on Nexus Prime. Ancient historian Mordun had spent 3 days researching the deepest archives of galactic history. What he found changed everything he thought he knew about civilization. "Fellow counselors," he said, his tree-like form trembling with age and worry, "I have discovered something troubling in the ancient records." Supreme Admiral Veltar, who had just returned from meeting the humans, looked exhausted. "What have you found, old friend?" "Records from the early days of the Council over 40,000 years ago. It seems that our ancestors deliberately prevented species from developing independently." The chamber fell silent. 12 different alien faces stared at Morden with shock. "What do you mean?" asked Diplomat Kixnall. "The founders of the Council believed that independent technological development was dangerous. They created the monitoring and guidance system not to help young species but to control them." Counselor Therak growled with anger. "Are you saying our entire civilization is built on lies?" "Not lies," said Morden carefully, "but perhaps on fear. The early Council members were terrified of species developing weapons they could not control, so they made sure no species could develop anything without Council approval." Veltar thought about his visit to the human ships. He had been amazed by what he saw there. The humans had built vessels that were part warship, part city, part research station. Their technology was not just advanced, it was completely different from anything in the galaxy. "The humans are not just powerful," he said. "They are innovative in ways we have forgotten how to be. They told me they redesign their ships every few years, always trying to improve them." "When did any of our species last redesign anything?" asked Morden. The counselors looked at each other uncomfortably. The truth was that galactic technology had not changed significantly in thousands of years. Everything was standardized, approved, controlled. "We have become weak," whispered Kixnall, "dependent on the system our ancestors created." Meanwhile, on the human flagship Indomitable, Dr. Yoon Ji-ho was making her own discoveries about galactic civilization. She had been given access to Council databases and was studying how alien technology worked. "Captain Park," she called excitedly, "you need to see this." Captain Park So Young joined the doctor in her laboratory. "What have you found?" "The alien civilizations are completely dependent on each other," said Dr. Yoon Ji-ho. "Look at this." She showed the captain a diagram of a typical Council warship. The engines are built by one species, the weapons by another, the life support by a third. No single species can build a complete starship alone. "That seems efficient," said Captain Park. "It is efficient, but it is also a trap. If any species tried to leave the Council, their ships would stop working. They cannot maintain their technology without help from other species." Captain Park realized the implications. "But we built everything ourselves." "Exactly. We are the only species in the galaxy that is completely self-sufficient. We do not need anyone else to maintain our civilization." This discovery was both exciting and frightening. It meant that humanity was not just more powerful than other species but also more independent. Admiral Lee Tae-min was in his quarters reading reports from his officers when Lieutenant Choi Hee-jin contacted him with urgent news. "Admiral, I am monitoring galactic communication networks. There is panic spreading across multiple star systems." "What kind of panic?" "Some species are calling for immediate military action against us. Others want to surrender before we attack them, and some are asking why the Council never told them about independent development." The Admiral sighed. Are we causing the breakdown of their entire government? It appears so, sir. There are reports of protests on several council worlds. Some younger species are demanding the right to develop their own technology. Commander Kim Woo-jin entered the room with more bad news. Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements across the galaxy. Someone is assembling a very large military force. How large? Preliminary estimates suggest over 500 warships from multiple species. It appears to be the largest battle fleet in galactic history. Admiral Lee Taemin felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Are they coming here? Unknown, sir. But if they are, we need to decide what to do about it. The Admiral called a meeting of all his senior officers. Captain Park So-young, Commander Kim Woo-jin, Dr. Yoon Ji-ho, and Lieutenant Choi Hye-jin gathered in the conference room. We have a problem, said the Admiral. Our discovery of alien civilization has caused a galactic crisis. Some species want to destroy us, others want to join us, and their government is falling apart. What are our options? Asked Captain Park. We can retreat back to Earth and prepare for war, said Commander Kim. Our 12 ships could probably fight their 500, but the cost would be enormous. We could try diplomacy, suggested Lieutenant Choi. Maybe we can calm them down by showing that we are peaceful. Dr. Yoon raised her hand. I have another idea. What if we invite their leaders aboard our ships? Let them see how we really live? That is dangerous, said Commander Kim. If they are hostile, we would be putting ourselves at risk. But it might be our only chance to prevent a war that could destroy millions of lives, said the Admiral. Captain Park So-young had been thinking about the problem from a different angle. Admiral, what if the real issue is not that we are powerful, but that we are free? What do you mean? Dr. Yoon discovered that their entire civilization is built on dependence. Every species needs the others to survive. But we do not need anyone. Maybe that is what really scares them. The Admiral nodded slowly. So we need to show them that freedom does not mean hostility. Exactly. We need to prove that being independent does not make us dangerous to those who choose to remain dependent. As the human officers planned their response to the galactic crisis, 500 alien warships continued moving toward their position. The largest military force in galactic history was preparing for a battle that could determine the future of civilization itself. And at the center of it all, 12 human ships waited calmly, their crews hoping that wisdom would prevail over fear. The massive council battle fleet arrived at the meeting point like a storm of metal and energy. 500 warships from 12 different species formed a wall of firepower that could destroy entire solar systems. At their center was Supreme Admiral Veltar's flagship, carrying the most important delegation in galactic history. Admiral Lee Taemin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the alien fleet take position. His 12 ships looked tiny compared to the massive force arrayed against them, but he knew appearances could be deceiving. Admiral, said Commander Kim Woo-jin, their weapons are powered up, but they are maintaining a defensive formation. I do not think they intend to attack immediately. Good, replied the Admiral. Captain Park opened communications. Captain Park So-young activated the main communication system. Supreme Admiral Veltar, this is Admiral Lee Taemin. We welcome you back. Veltar's voice came through the speakers, tense with worry. Admiral Lee Taemin, I must be direct. The Galactic Council is in crisis because of your existence. Some members demand immediate military action against your species. We understand your concern, Supreme Admiral. We propose a peaceful solution. What solution? Admiral Lee Taemin took a deep breath. We invite you and the council leaders to visit our ships, see how we live, learn who we really are. The communication channel went silent for several minutes. Finally, Veltar responded, Admiral, that is an enormous risk for both sides. Yes, it is, but it may be our only chance to prevent a war that would hurt millions of innocent people. After more discussion, Veltar agreed to bring a small delegation aboard the human flagship. The Council's greatest leaders would visit the ship that had shocked the galaxy. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho spent hours preparing for the visit. She arranged displays showing human art, music, and literature. She wanted the aliens to understand that despite their fearsome weapons, humans were fundamentally peaceful explorers. When the alien delegation arrived, they were amazed by what they found inside the Indomitable. The ship was not just a warship, but a complete city. There were schools, hospitals, parks, and even small farms growing food. Supreme Admiral Veltar walked through the corridors with wonder. "Admiral Lee Taemin, this ship is designed for families?" "Yes," replied the Admiral. "Our long exploration missions last for years. Many of our crew members bring their families with them." Ancient historian Morden was studying the ship's library. "You carry children on warships?" "We carry children on exploration ships," corrected Captain Park So-young. "The weapons are for protection, not conquest." Diplomat Kicksnall was amazed by the ship's research facilities. "You have laboratories for studying alien life, alien languages, even alien art?" "We have been hoping to find other civilizations for over 2 centuries, explained Dr. Yoon Ji-ho. "We wanted to be ready to learn from you." The alien delegation spent 3 days aboard the human ship. They met families, watched children play, attended concerts, and participated in scientific discussions. They learned that despite their incredible military power, the humans were driven by curiosity and hope, not fear and aggression. On the 3rd day, Veltar called a meeting with Admiral Lee Tae-min in the ship's conference room. "Admiral, I must ask you a difficult question," said Veltar. "What do you want from the galaxy?" "We want to learn," replied the Admiral. "We want to share knowledge, explore new worlds, and make friends with other species. And if the Council refuses to accept your independence?" Admiral Lee Tae-min was quiet for a moment. "Then we will remain independent anyway. But we hope it does not come to that." "You would fight 500 ships with 12? If necessary, but we would prefer to find a better solution." Veltar realized that the humans were offering something the galaxy had never seen before: a choice. They were not demanding to rule others or be ruled by others. They simply wanted the freedom to exist as they chose. Lieutenant Choi Hyejin had been monitoring galactic communications during the visit. She brought surprising news to the meeting. "Admiral, the younger species in the Council are requesting meetings with us. They want to learn about independent development." "How many species?" "At least 6 so far, sir. They are asking if we would share some of our technologies freely." Diplomat Kicksnall looked shocked. "That is against Council law. All technology sharing must be approved and controlled." "What if there was no Council law?" asked Captain Park So-young. The alien delegation looked at her with confusion. "What do you mean?" "What if species could choose their own path? Some could remain in the Council system if they prefer security and cooperation. Others could develop independently if they prefer freedom and self-reliance." Ancient historian Mordun's tree-like face showed interest. "A galaxy with multiple systems of government? Why not?" said Dr. Yoon Ji-ho. "Diversity makes ecosystems stronger. Maybe diversity would make galactic civilization stronger too." Over the following weeks, the most remarkable transformation in galactic history began. Instead of one centralized government controlling everything, new alliances formed based on voluntary association. The traditional Council species, led by Supreme Admiral Veltar, reformed their government to be less controlling and more supportive. They realized that their system worked well for species that valued security and cooperation. But 6 younger species chose to leave the Council and form a new alliance with humanity. They called it the Independent Development Coalition. Admiral Lee Tae-min agreed to share human technology freely with any species that chose the path of independence. Commander Kim Woo-jin was placed in charge of training alien crews to operate independently developed ships. It was challenging work, since these species had never learned to be self-sufficient. Captain Park So-young was given command of the first mixed human-alien exploration fleet. Her ship carried crew members from 4 different species, all working together to explore uncharted regions of space. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho became the galaxy's first director of interspecies cultural exchange. She established programs that allowed young beings from different species to learn about other ways of life. Lieutenant Choi Hyejin developed the new Galactic Communication Network that allowed different government systems to cooperate without controlling each other. The transformation was not easy. Some species found independence frightening after thousands of years of central control. Others discovered that freedom required more responsibility than they expected. But gradually, the galaxy adapted to its new diversity. 5 years after first contact, Admiral Lee Tae-min stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the galaxy's first truly independent space station. Around him, beings from dozens of species worked together by choice rather than by law. Captain Park So-young approached with her latest report. "Admiral, we have received requests for exploration missions from 7 more species. They want to send their young people on human-led expeditions to learn about independence." "Approved," said the Admiral. "The more species that learn to stand on their own, the stronger the galaxy becomes." Through the station's windows, they could see ships from both the Reformed Council and the Independent Coalition working together on a joint scientific project. No central authority had ordered this cooperation. It happened because free beings chose to help each other. Dr. Yoon Ji-ho's daughter, now 7 years old, ran past them playing with children from 6 different species. She had been born in galactic space and considered all these different beings to be part of her extended family. "Admiral," said Captain Park, "do you think we made the right choice?" Admiral Lee Tae-min watched the children play together, their differences making their games more interesting rather than more difficult. "I think we gave the galaxy something it had forgotten." "What was that?" "Hope." For 50,000 years, galactic civilization believed there was only one way to live among the stars. Now they know there are as many ways as there are species willing to try them. As night fell over the station, beings from dozens of worlds worked and played together in harmony. The galaxy had not become perfect, but it had become free. And in that freedom, new possibilities were being born every day. The humans had come to the stars looking for other intelligent life. Instead, they had taught the entire galaxy what it meant to truly live.